Hello, Internet, and welcome back to more Reddit stories. I haven't read anything in pretty much since the beginning of March, it feels like. And why is that? I've been lazy. So, it's bright as shit outside. That's a problem. And an annoyance. It makes it really hard to read this screen. So we're gonna zoom in. Today, I've got, some PettyRevenge stories that I queued up at the beginning of March or middle of March. I don't know when, and, well, fuck it. But we're here at PettyRevenge, so go ahead, grab your tea, your juice, your coffee, your hot cocoa, whatever it is you want to read, and go ahead and hydrate yourself as we read some PettyRevenge stories. Our first story is from Super Rando Man. I'm sorry, I don't have anyone to relieve you. So I worked for a security company that literally hired the least competent supervisors possible. The one that hired me effed up my payroll, and for the duration, my W-2s had a K as my middle initial. I expected an IRS audit every year because they never fixed it. I was started at a site that paid $12 an hour, and after 2 weeks I was reassigned to another paying minimum wage. And depending on which state you're in, that minimum wage fluctuates. I live in Georgia. Our minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. However, I believe if you live in a expensive as fuck place like California, your minimum wage is $15 an hour. Can you live in either of those states on either of those minimum wages? Hell no. But yet, they think you can't. Even though inflation has made everything expensive as shit, and minimum wage has not been raised. Whatever. I was the only person drug tested since no one else could pass from my work site. I worked for 6 months overnight graveyard shift. Excuse me, that was a burp. I worked for 6 months overnight graveyard shift when I was supposed to have gotten the first morning shift available. I had school-aged kids and I needed to work mornings. However, all the new hires were given the morning shifts. After my stupid self agreed to work the new site and lower rate, I guess I deserved it. Enter the new boss. He is an incompetent coworker promoted to supervisor. I was posted at a $10 an hour site, and after 6 months I was reassigned to a lower paying site, so that shift could go to the boss's new assistant's wife. The assistant and his wife wound up quitting 2 months later, and we lost the higher-paying site. My final straw was the last site I worked at. My relief, they arrived and I got to leave, was the most unreliable schmuck ever. 6 times, I had no one show up till 1 to 4 hours after the end of my shift. I was a single parent. My kids got home 2 hours after my shift ended. They were 4 and 6 and essentially alone if I wasn't home on time. My boss's response to me needing to get home to my kids who were going to be alone was, "Not my problem. If you leave, you are fired." My immediate family managed to get there on time, but barely. I began applying everywhere. My PettyRevenge. I sent a 12 a.m. email to corporate outlining everything effed up my boss did. I resigned and forwarded him the email. Corporate called the next morning to ask me to reconsider at 7 a.m. I was already on my way to my new job. When my ex-boss called 10 minutes after I hung up with corporate begging me to cover my shit for 2 weeks so he can find someone, I laughed and said, "That's not my problem. If you don't find someone fast, you're fired." The client only kept the contract a week due to lack of coverage, and all contracts in the region were lost 5 months later. I, of course, told him I'd file harassment if he ever called again. I told him to lose my number, etc. TLDR, security boss put my kids at risk, so I left him in a lurch. P.S. If my quitting led to them losing more sites and people, their jobs, I hope y'all got unemployment. Edit, sorry for lousy phone post, edited for grammar and put in spacing. I hope. And that is quite a yum scrumdiddlyumptious delicious. I also had 2 jobs. My very first job, I didn't have a W-2 of my first job. They didn't explain what a 1099 was to me for my very first job that I had at the macaroon store. So they never gave me my tax paperwork. They said there was some paperwork I had to fill out on my very first day that I was coming in, which is after training. It was my first day being alone. That paperwork never materialized, and my boyfriend kept complaining, like, no, you need your tax paperwork, so I kept asking. Honestly, I shouldn't have asked, because then I wouldn't have owed taxes. I would just be paid under the fucking table. But I didn't get, I started working in October, and I don't think I got any tax paperwork until December. And then I didn't get a tax form in, March. I never got that tax form. I honestly didn't get my first tax form until I think I quit the next year. Because I worked there for 2 tax cycles. Because I started, I believe, in 2016, and then I quit in 2017. Yeah. So, I quit a little bit before Christmas, because I was trying to pull through at that job for, the holidays. It was a whole shit show. That place is still open. Their macaroons are alright. They just didn't treat their employees very well. They treated them better than, some other places I've been, but still, it was kind of catty and cliquish, and I wasn't into that shit. And also, how the fuck do you not like Santa Claus? Santa Claus sent us more fucking customers, and you just smile to his face and then, cringe or, make this face oh, I hate this guy, when he wasn't in view. And I thought that was bullshit and mean as fuck. So, yeah. I know what it's like to, have your W-2s fucked up in, your tax paperwork. Because, I had to pay for, the next 2-3 years because I owed, $1,200 in taxes. And I had to pay that little by little over 2 years because I could not fucking afford it. So that was fun. And then my first year at the arcade, they fucked up my W-2 by putting, that I had dependents when I didn't. So that was fun. So basically, I think it was yeah, it was bullshit. I owed money that I technically shouldn't have owed if people had done their shit correctly. But we're gonna go and move on to our next story, which is by Icy Nerve 6477. Don't get even. Get ahead. Long one, sorry, but first time posting, and I had to get this out. So I live in a fraternity house at a Big Ten school. I'm not sure what Big Ten school is, and I have no internet on this laptop to look it up. So somebody in the comment section, let me know. I am a sophomore in college, and during my freshman year, I dated a girl from roughly November until late August, just before starting back up. I thought she was awesome, and she would always hang out with her friends and I. After we broke up, I was extremely depressed and would drink every day for around 2 months. However, she said that she still wanted to be friends. I eventually realized that this was horrible for my mental health, and that I was being manipulated and jerked around a lot, and told her she needed to start treating me not like I was a joke or I couldn't have her in my life. we haven't spoken since. It was around this time that my roommate, who was one of my closest friends the year before, began treating me like absolute shit. He would constantly pick fights and call me stupid, mentally disabled, etc. I am also slightly on the autism spectrum, so this stung a bit. I just assumed it was because he was attracted to the new girl I had been talking to. Which, as it turns out, it was. Which, kind of like douchey behavior. Like, I get it, you're both attracted to this girl, dude's talking to her, and you're mad about it, but that's no reason to take it out on him. Like, you can have a mature conversation. Like, just because he's talking to her, and you find her attractive, doesn't mean, like, she's going to pick him. Like, you could also talk to her and get to know her. Like, you have to start out as friends. You can't just jump into, like, hi, I think you're hot and I want to date you. Like some people do. I don't know. I'm demisexual. It takes me a while to feel that attraction. I have to know you as a person first. But whatever. About 2 weeks ago, I found out that my roommate had tried to drunkenly confess his love to the new girl, and had also told her that he had been hooking up with my ex, and the first time it happened was in the bunk bed underneath me while I was passed out during the 2-month bender. When he found out that she told me, he sent her a series of absolutely horrible texts trying to gaslight her into thinking it never happened. Oh boy, no bitch. I'm pretty sure girl got evidence of you drunkenly telling her shit, because honestly, if a drunk dude comes talk to me, first thing I'm gonna do, 1, text a friend for help, 2, start recording because I need fucking evidence, and that shit's going straight to the fucking cloud. So even if you take my phone, somebody's gonna find it. They got ways. I asked a few of my ex's best friends, who I was still close with, and they confirmed that my ex and roommate had hooked up. While I was livid, I had been trying to be a less violent and reactionary person. Good on you trying to improve yourself. So, that's good. It was then that I realized we were having a Greek wedding with a sorority, and my roommate had been trying to get with an uninterested girl in said sorority for the last year and a half. Dude, take a hint. She was also one of my friends, so I asked her if she wanted to get married. And when we exchanged our vows, where we basically just make a bunch of good-natured sex jokes at each other's expense, I closed it out by saying that I was marrying her so that my roommate had a chance, since he wouldn't hook up with a girl until after I had already done so. And I also made him my best man for this. OP, I like you. And you got the girl to agree to this, which is also hilarious that she's just like, yeah, I'll do it. I think it's funny. In addition, someone reminded me that he had sworn on the house that he had not hooked up with my ex a few months back. When you break an oath on the house, you get kicked in the balls at the next house meeting. Guess who did the honors? Congratulations, OP. But also, that's a weird thing. I don't quite get fraternities, sororities. I went to the Art Institute of Atlanta, Decatur. We didn't have that, and even when the Decatur campus closed and they switched us all to the Just Atlantis campus, we still didn't have that, so I guess I missed that part of college. But whatever. My last bit of revenge was to move out of the room and take the refrigerator. Good going. However, I did leave behind copious amounts of itching powder in his underwear, sheets, etc., as well as a device that beeps at random intervals hidden in the room. I don't believe he will be able to find it. He has lost any friends and respect he has in the house, and many other sororities in Greek life now hold my ex and ex-roommate in contempt, and they are the butt of many jokes. Don't get even. Get ahead. And that is wonderful. I feel bad that I don't quite get the Greek life. I don't understand what a Greek wedding is. I guess it's like some like little funny thing where you pretend to get married. Kind of like a mock wedding. I don't quite get it. But whatever. Hopefully. I still think it's hilarious to like just get back at your roommate for all like the petty shit. And then plus being able to kick him in the balls afterwards. Wonderful. But we're at about 50 minutes. 15, not 50. La la la. So, thank you all for being here. Remember to stay hydrated. Thank you to my Patreon supporters, my YouTube channel members, my Ko-fi supporters. All of y'all are super awesome. I've been slowly working on some new art pieces. I just haven't recorded any audio like this to go underneath my speed paints in a while. So yeah, thank you all for being here. Let me know what other kinds of like stories you want me to read. If you want me to read, I'm wanting to read some more Sonic fan fiction. So if you've written any, go ahead and link that in the comments below, or just tell me what the name of the fan fiction is, the website it's on, and what author name you use. You can also I think my DMs on Twitter and Instagram are both open, and you can find those in my link tree. So you can just DM me the links to those if you want it to be a nice surprise. But I would love to read some more Sonic fanfiction on this channel that's not mine. So yeah, thank you. Everyone stay healthy, stay safe, all that good stuff. Bye-bye.